Hi, welcome to Zines and Raja. I am Rosina and this is a podcast about my crochet exploits. This is a special episode about my weekend. I've just come back from the Edinburgh Yarn Festival and I thought I would share what I got up to, what I bought and my general thought about the event, about the weekend, blah blah blah, etc etc. So I will get stuck straight in as usual and I'm just going to talk and see where my brain takes me as I talk about the weekend. So I got to Edinburgh on Friday lunchtime and promptly got on a bus that went directly to the Corn Exchange, which is where the Edinburgh Yarn Festival is held every year. Has been for, I don't know, 5-6 years, something like that. This is my third year and kind of feel more at ease about going. The first year I was genuinely, completely and utterly overwhelmed by the whole experience. I'd never been to a yarn festival before, it was my first one. I had no idea what to expect and to be honest with you I went a little bit bonkers, bought far too much because I got overexcited and just sort of got a bit silly. Similarly, last year I think also I was excited and spent too much money. This year I had decided to be very sensible. I said a couple of times that I wasn't actually going to buy anything at all, which is nonsense. Of course I was going to spend money, but I have been quite restrained. I'll talk about what I bought in a mo, but first let me get back to Friday afternoon. Got off the bus and joined a massive queue. I don't think... No, I had seen a queue before, but because I've always had... I'd always bought tickets in advance. I never had to queue up because it's not like I ever got there before the doors opened or anything like that. So if you've got tickets, normally you can walk straight in if you're there after the doors have opened. But this year I chanced it, which is a bit of a risk, isn't it, to fly from Devon to Scotland without having tickets for the event you want to go to. But I did it anyway. I'm fairly certain that in previous years I've heard that most people get in, and it was kind of like a one in one out affair. So on Friday it was about an hour in the queue, but luckily the weather was mild-ish, very little in the way of rain, no snow like last year, and it certainly wasn't -3. But as we are a community with the same interests, we're all makers, you stand in the queue by yourself, but within a minute or two you are chatting away to the other people in the queue. So that's what I did. There was a woman in front of me who was wearing a bright electric blue crochet hat and Tunisian crochet shawl, and it was beautiful. I didn't ask what the patterns were though because I'm stupid and I'd love to have found out. So on the Friday I went in by myself and one of the first things I did was to send out a couple of messages to people to say, I'm here, are you still here, where are you? One of whom is Ali from Homemade at My Place, and we chat on Instagram. We're both designers for magazines, so it was lovely to meet up with somebody who does the same things that I do, because it's quite a solitary sport, is crochet, as you probably know, and so it's lovely to actually finally meet the people that you chat to, and it was lovely seeing Ali, really nice, and it was totally natural and normal. Never met in real life before, but it felt like we've known each other for years. It was great. And the same with Alison and Vivian as well, who are Keep Calm and Carry Yarn. They have their own podcast. Last year they were one of the official podcasters for the Edinburgh Yarn Festival, but this year they were just going as customers, I suppose. But it was lovely to catch up with them because we'd met last year as well. So we had a nice wander around looking at the yarn and stuff. What else did I do on the Friday? I went and dropped off my shawls, the rainbow shawls, for the John Arbon stand. They weren't on display, and I know that I knew that they weren't going to be put up for EYF, but I've delivered them so that they can hopefully display them at their next yarn festival, which is Wonderwall in Wales, which is in April so that's next month. So hopefully John Arbon will have my crochet shawls on display at the next big yarn festival. And fingers crossed I'll go to that one. So I went and introduced myself to Sonia, who was on the John Arbon stand, and we had a nice chat, because it's funny, I've been emailing her back and forth for a good few months, and to finally meet in the flesh is grand. And just all that wool, just seeing it all in one place is so much better than buying from their online shop. It's lovely to see just the most beautiful rainbow of colours in the most beautiful yarn. And then with Ali, we went and chatted to Joanne's Grace from the Crochet Project. So it was lovely to pick her brains a little bit and find out what her thoughts were about a crochet booth stand in a predominantly knitting orientated show. That was very interesting. Maybe I'll touch on that again in a minute. Then Ali and I went, we were chatting to Vicky Brown, who was there, another crochet representative, which was great. And then I went and had a look at I was looking at the Eden Cottage yarn stand, and one of the girls that was working there came up to me and said hi, introduced herself, and she knew my work because I've used their yarn before for a commission, and we had a big old chat for ages, and it was lovely because I felt welcome, I felt at home, and I felt really comfortable, and what a relief. I find things like this intimidating. And so to be made to feel welcome is lovely. And so I did so much, like wandering around chatting to people, that I was really proud of myself. And I wonder if it was because I was by myself initially, because when I went the next day on the Saturday, I was with my sister, and we kind of stuck together, and I didn't talk to as many people. I did meet up with Teresa from Shirley Rainbow though, who I've been friends with on Instagram for years. And before that, blogging as well. We met last year for the first time in Roll Love, and this is the second time we've got together, so it was lovely to see her. Who else did I talk to? Oh, Faye. Yes, not yesterday, day before, wasn't it? Yeah, had a chat with Faye from the Social Crochet Circle podcast. That was an interesting chat. I'm sure she will talk in great detail about her experience of the weekend, so I won't delve into that too much, but there's some interesting stuff going on in the crochet world, and not just from Faye, but actually since I came back. Do you know Gigi Made It? This is a tangent. She has brought up the discussion about knitting versus crochet and why crochet is second-class citizen. And so there's been a lot of this bubbling under the surface whilst I was there, and interestingly upon my return. So I think this is going to become a discussion. I think it might become big. I don't know. I hope so. And I wonder if I should be a part of it and shout out a bit loud about how flipping amazing crochet can be, and it is anyway. Yeah. What shall I say next? No, I don't want to forget anything, so I did write some stuff Let me tell you who I saw as representing crochet at the Edinburgh Yarn Festival. There was John Arbon. So, as you know, I've delivered my samples the weekend so that they can have crochet on their stand. But you also are probably aware that they have displayed phase work on their stand throughout numerous festivals. So they are supporting crochet as a craft, not just knitting, which is great. Who else? Eden Cottage Yarns. I think that's what made me so happy to talk to them, is because they had loads of crochet samples on their stall and loads of crochet patterns for sale from really good crochet designers, and that kind of made me happy. The Wall Kitchen, Helen only had a small corner, but there was crochet on display. I've used the Wall Kitchen's yarn a few times now, so I didn't buy any, but I love Helen's yarn a lot, and I felt like I probably should have talked to her a little bit more, and I sort of shied away, chickened out a little bit. There's certainly lots of stands where I could have gone up and said hello to people, and I didn't, mostly because some of them were quite scary. They probably wouldn't say that. They'd probably like, don't be so stupid, come and say hi. But it's just ridiculous. Who else represents? Vicky Brown, I've said. She's a crochet designer and she knits, and lots of lovely crochet on show and patterns for sale on her stand. And then there was Jane Crow, who had a crochet stand with her kits for sale. I didn't manage to introduce myself to Jane. I don't know her, and every time I went over to her stall it was swamped, which is a positive sign, isn't it? But yeah, I didn't get the opportunity to talk to her, but it was good to see a full-on crochet stand. Toft, of course. I think Toft are a sponsor and have been for a couple of years. It's interesting. I think I noticed people were drawn to it because Toft is mostly toys and amigurumi. And it's interesting, I was watching people go up and admire the amigurumi stuff, but they were all knitters, and to see them surprised that crochet could be so beautiful was interesting. I should do more observing like that, just stand and watch people near a crochet stall and see what information I can glean. And then the crochet project, as I said, I chatted to Joanne's Grace, and she had said the amount of people that come up to her and that they're quite sort of perplexed, they don't get it, the crochet project, but that's knitting, right? No, it's crochet. A lot of knitters, makers, can't believe that crochet can look so stunning. I think it's been written off as just grannies, which is a painful statement, because there's no such thing as just grannies. You know I'm a granny fan. And funnily enough, like 30 seconds later, a woman came up and she was like, this isn't crochet. It's crochet? Yes, it's crochet. Why can't crochet be amazing? I don't understand. So overall, seeing as there are dozens and dozens of stands, stalls, booths, whatever you want to call them, and yet I'm naming on maybe one hand, 1.5 hands, the crochet representatives. It's not a lot, is it? And I won't talk about it because I think Faye will, but she went round asking people why they weren't displaying crochet samples. And I'd be interested to know what the response was. I experienced one sort of negative thing from a yarn stand. Me and my sister were looking at wool that my sister had bought 2 years previously and made into the Urban Stripe Shawl, a crochet stripy shawl that is one of my designs. And I've lost my thread. The woman whose stand it was came up to us and asked if everything was okay, could she help? And we said, oh no, it's okay, we're just looking at this yarn that my sister bought 2 years ago and now has since made into this shawl. And her reaction was a bit weird. She was like, oh, how interesting. I've never seen my yarn crocheted before. What an interesting structure it is. But I don't know. It didn't come across as positive. And the first thing she did was like, and here, have a look at it knitted. She wasn't interested in crochet. It's probably a big mistake because we walked away without buying anything from her. And we could easily have done, couldn't we? If she'd been a bit more positive about getting her hooks out. Yeah. So, where am I? It's getting bigger. I think the festival is getting bigger. They never used to have a marquee before. The first year I think was last year. I don't know about previous years. Maybe they. But 3 years ago there was no marquee, and there was just not enough room for everybody. Last year they introduced the marquee, which was filled to the brim, and this year it was packed again. And then there was another open space where they'd moved a lot of the sort of social tables for sort of sitting around and doing your crochet. They'd moved that and put more stalls in that second room there, which a lot of sort of British woolly walls in there. All beautiful. Wool that smelt so sheepy. It was almost fruity. I've never smelt anything like it, but it's like you'd pick it up and it smelled almost like cider. It was that natural, earthy countryside smell that was fabulous. It was gorgeous. Loved it. I didn't buy any of it though, but it was just really nice to sort of go, oh wow, this smells lovely. But yeah, it's sort of spreading out more stalls are there, or so it seems. And it just seems like it's getting bigger. You walk around and you can hear people from all over the world. You're in Edinburgh, but it is a global event. There's people from all over the place, and I spoke to people from all over the world. It's amazing, isn't it? How just like some yarn and your love of it can bring all those people together. Great, loved it. But let's talk about what I bought, I suppose. I sort of made a promise to myself that I wouldn't buy anything from vendors that I'd previously bought from, because I want to try a nice broad spectrum from many different yarn dyers and yarn suppliers. So in order to try new things, I have to forego the old things. And it doesn't mean to say that I don't love them as much or I don't want to use them anymore, because I totally do, but my budget won't stretch to it. And I had promised myself that if I couldn't manage not spending any money at all, then I at least shouldn't be having a major splurge. I should buy sensibly and creatively and buy new to me. It made it easier because it meant I could eliminate a good few stands, because over the last couple of years I've bought from people that were exhibiting at the weekend. So I could tick those off and say, right, don't buy from them. Which included, so the Wall Kitchen, who I love, but I've used her yarn a good few times now. It meant I didn't buy from John Arbon. It meant I didn't buy from Countess Ablaze because I've bought her stuff before, and my God, it's gorgeous though. Just a treat for the eyes to see all those beautiful colours. Same with La Bien Amie. I've bought a skein from them before, and it made it easy that it was too expensive anyway. I'm not spending 29 quid on one skein of yarn anymore. The novelty of beautiful dyed yarns hasn't worn off, but I'm now less excitable about it, which means I can be more pragmatic, if that's the right word. So she was crossed off the list. I can't remember who else. I didn't buy from Toft because I bought from them before. I didn't buy from a few others as well, let's say. But there was still plenty to choose from and plenty to fall in love with. There's Uskatita, who have beautiful baby red squirrels. I wish I'd sort of gone, sometimes you go up to a stall and I forget to say hello, and then I realise that afterwards that's probably really rude. But again, sort of, I find the ones that are very popular intimidating, and I don't know why. It's stupid, isn't it? Things like Stephen West, he's such a huge presence that, and I love his work, but I'm sort of conflicted between, oh my God, wow, and, well, he's just a normal person. Why would I go up and and be all crazy? I don't know. I did notice as well that there were a lot of single ply yarns, and I don't know if I'm interested in those yet. I've never used it, have I? Don't think so. I've got a single ply yarn, just one skein, La Bien Amie, that I got for my birthday last year, and I'm not sure what to do with it. I'm not sure if I can blend it with other four plies, and probably could. But let's see. Let me show you what I did get. Okay, my very first purchase, made on the Saturday because I made no purchases on the Friday at all. I was there for 4 hours and I didn't buy one thing. Can you believe it? That whizzed by as well. Whizzed by. I was there 4 hours on the Saturday too. So my first purchase was this sniffer. The world's most expensive tote that I absolutely had to have. I knew I wanted it before I went, and this was going to be my bag for buying all my stuff. So I bought this much yarn, which it's not that much, is it? It's not that much. I bought Stephen West's new yarn. This is going to be a DK version of Release the Hounds, I think, unless I mess it up, because my Release the Hounds shawl is an Aran weight yarn. But I'd be interested to know what it's like in these colours. So I might make that soon. It's quite a quick make. And it should look quite nice for the spring, so I should get a move on with that. But this is new, it's a new wool. He's, I don't know if he's ever had his actual own wool brand before. West Wool Amsterdam. This is Glow. This is Powder. And this is True Blue. And they all say batch 1, so maybe it's like a first edition in a book, but this is the wool first edition. There's no real major woolly wool smell. It's a double knit. This is tandem, and I think, is the 4-ply called Bicycle? My sister bought some as well. I think the 4-ply is called Bicycle, but it's a set like there's like 20 odd colours, and they come in 4-ply and DK. And this is the DK. 10% Texel and 90% Falkland Merino. I don't know what Texel is. Do you know what Texel is? Let me Google it. Texel. There's a place in the Netherlands. Can wool be 10% a place? Oh, something to do with sheep here. British Texel sheep. Oh, it must be a sheep. There we go. So that was my first purchase. They were £17.50 each, which I didn't think was too bad. And I would love to have more, but I was restrained and I decided buy one project's worth, and if you really like it, you can always get more another time. So just see how you go first. There's 230 metres for the 100 grams. And then, what else? My very first purchase were these. I saw a sample of these knitted up in a very open stitch, and it looked beautiful, and it was very halo-y, which I really liked. And I'm wondering if I can incorporate these into a shawl of some sort. But this comes in 4-ply, DK and Aran weight, which is awesome. It's 80% Whistle Bear's own mohair, 20% Miss Whistle Bear's own Wensleydale wool. Whistle Bear. And I think this is 20 grams. But it doesn't say. It just says it's 4-ply, it's got 70 metres. But I'd be interested to know how that crochets. Maybe with something that isn't mohair, and sort of working those into, I want something open and lacy. No concrete plans. And I've got no concrete plans for this either, but I wanted a 4-ply nep. This is Ripples Crafts, and it's a Scottish wool, which was important for me to have a souvenir. Crushed Blaeberries, 100 grams, 400 metres approximately, 85% wool, 15% nylon neps. This is Blue Face Leicester. And I think this will go well with something I've got in stash that's not neppy. But I had to have it. I saw it on the Friday and I thought about it all the way through till the Saturday. It was the last colour of this one left. And I grabbed it. It's not the neatest one. It looks like it's been unravelled a couple of times, but it was the last one and I had to have it. And so I snatched it and I bought it. And I bought these from Coops. They're Coop Knits socks, yeah, 50 gram skeins of 4-ply. I don't know what I'm going to do with these, but that blue blew me away. And I'm just loving grey at the minute, so got those. They go beautifully with neon pink, which was one of my, this was a mini from Vicky Brown Designs, because that's going to be my contrasting colour. Because my other thing I bought, my final thing, see, it's not that much, is it, was I bought this from Ginger Twist, and Ginger Twist is a shop in Edinburgh, but I bought it from the stall because they were displaying at the festival. This is amazing. I've got something very similar, but that's destined for socks. This is destined for wrist warmers. Ginger Twist Studios. It is 4-ply yakety yak, 60% merino, 20% yak, 20% silk. And I believe that I bought a similar mix at Yarndale from 5 Moons Yarns, which is one sock and one not made sock. But this I think is pretty, I need to get the two side by side to see if they're the same or just very similar. I mean, it would have been dyed differently, but they're both grey and they both got yak and silk. Anyway, it's destined. I've already started. I started this on the plane on the way home. It's going to be a wrist warmer. Got too many tangles in there. But at the moment it's that. So I've got to go all the way to there. But I'm very excited by these. I've made my prototypes now. I'll show you on my actual podcast at the end of the week. See, I look at it and go, oh, it's not that much. But it's enough to satisfy my yarny urges, so that's my birthday money. So, which is, I know it's not my birthday for about 6 weeks or so, or about 6 weeks away, but I will still, this will be counted as birthday money rather than splurgy and silly. It's a treat. So I don't feel like that was frivolous, not really. And whilst I was there, I started making a cowl. This was my Edinburgh project, which I started on the plane on the way there, and I did a little bit as we sat and had a cup of tea in the marquee as well. And that's a cowl from yarn, Dalton fibre, that I bought at Yarndale in September. But I'll talk about that in more detail in episode 50 of episode 50 or 51, I can't remember. Anyway, oh, I haven't brought my tie. My tie is upstairs. I went round wearing a granny square tie on one of the days. On day one I wore my crochet jumper that is from Stitches Tees, but on the Saturday I wore my granny tie, and there was a couple of people were impressed, which sounds a bit like... There was one woman who asked to take a photograph of it. I was like, don't take a picture of my face. And then my sister was like, why not? You take your picture of yourself all the time. Oh, yeah. And then I heard somebody else, for an American woman, and I heard her as she walked by going, did you see that granny tie? So I was like, oh, yay! So, will I go next year? I don't know. It seems a bit excessive to go 4 years in a row. But it's so easy because my sister lives there and I just crash at hers, and we go out and have a good time when we're there, when I'm there with her. It's dead straightforward to get to, and I want to see crochet get bigger there. And so if I don't go, that's one less crochet enthusiast at the festival, and I feel like I need to be one of many representatives there bigging up crochet. So I don't know. And plus there's so many other festivals to go to. Maybe I should be saving my pennies to try somewhere new. We shall see. But that's it. Did you go? What did you think? Did you enjoy it? What do you think of crochet at yarn festivals? What do you think of yarn festivals in general? Do you splurge? Do you keep your hands firmly in your pockets and don't open that purse? What? I will write an accompanying blog post and bung some pictures in. I didn't do any video footage when I was there. Didn't even cross my mind. I completely forgot. So it wasn't until the very end of the first day that I started snapping some wool, and the second day I took a few photographs, but I forgot to take pictures of people, which is daft. Should have done that, didn't. One day I will learn. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you for my normal podcast in a few days. Alright, cheerio, bye.